There comes a point in life when the roles between parent and child quietly reverse. You spent years guiding, nurturing, and sacrificing for your children. You gave them your best. But one day, you notice something's changed. Maybe they roll their eyes at your advice. Maybe they speak to you with impatience or ignore you altogether. Or maybe they make you feel like a burden, and it hurts deeply. You might feel angry, even tempted to remind them of everything you've done. But here's the truth. Anger won't fix it, and demanding respect rarely gets it. There is a better way. Today, I'll share 6 powerful actions you can take if your children are treating you with less respect than you deserve. These aren't about guilt or confrontation. They're simple shifts, quiet changes that can help restore respect and peace. Let's begin. Stop chasing their approval. One of the most common traps parents fall into as they age is the desire to stay liked. So, you say yes when you mean no. You rearrange your plans to suit theirs. You stay silent when you want to speak up. You hope your efforts will win you love, or at least gratitude. But the more you chase approval, the more it slips away. Why? Because respect doesn't come from self-sacrifice. It comes from self-respect. I remember Margaret, once a strong, independent woman, but in her later years, she became overly accommodating to her adult children. She never said no, never complained, always adjusted, and over time, they stopped listening, stopped valuing her voice. When you constantly put yourself second, people, yes, even your children, start believing that's where you belong. To reclaim respect, you must first respect yourself. Say no when needed. Speak up when it matters. Not with anger, but with confidence. Because when you value yourself, others will too. Don't argue. Lead by example. It's tempting to argue when your children talk down to you. To remind them, "I raised you," or "You wouldn't be here without me." But truthfully, arguing doesn't earn respect. Presence does. Frank, a retired school teacher I once knew, faced this exact issue. At home, his adult children interrupted, dismissed, and disregarded him. At first, he pushed back, argued, tried to assert authority, but it only made things worse. Then he changed his approach. He stopped defending himself. Instead, he spoke calmly, confidently, and without emotion. He became a mirror of the respect he wanted, and slowly his children followed suit. The lesson? When others try to bring you down, don't go with them. Hold your ground. Speak with grace, because real respect doesn't come from shouting louder. It comes from standing taller. Withdraw emotional dependence. Here's a hard truth. You can't depend on your children to fulfill your emotional needs. Yes, you love them. Of course you want their attention, but when they sense that you need their calls, their visits, their validation, the dynamic shifts. They begin to feel burdened, obligated, and that leads to distance, not closeness. Helen, a devoted mother I met, lived for her children's attention. She called them constantly, always reminding them how much she missed them, and yet they pulled away. So she stopped waiting. She built a new routine, joined a knitting group, started volunteering, made new friends. And you know what happened? Her children started calling. Not out of guilt, but genuine interest. Because when you show emotional independence, people are drawn to your strength, not repelled by your need. Set boundaries and enforce them. Many parents lose respect from their children, not because of what they say, but because of what they tolerate. Disrespectful tone, dismissive behavior, constant interruptions. If you allow it, they'll assume it's okay. Robert, a retired businessman, faced this with his adult kids. They would interrupt him, talk over him, even criticize his lifestyle. At first, he ignored it, trying to keep the peace. But eventually, he realized peace without respect isn't peace at all. So he drew a line. When his son interrupted, Robert said, "I'll finish speaking when I have your attention." When his daughter dismissed his view, "You don't have to agree with me, but you will speak respectfully." And when they crossed the line again, he walked away. At first, they resisted, but in time, they adjusted, because boundaries aren't about punishment. They're about self-worth. And when you enforce them, others rise to meet them. Stop giving without appreciation. Too often we give out of habit. Help with money, support with errands, time, attention, advice. But when those gifts aren't acknowledged, something inside us starts to ache. The more you give without gratitude, the more your kindness becomes invisible. Worse, it becomes expected. George gave everything to his grown kids, helped them out of every jam, gave money freely, never asked for anything in return. And when he finally needed help, they weren't there. That's when he stopped. He started saying no unless there was real need. He stopped rescuing and let them figure things out. The result? They started thanking him again, because his help became a gift, not an entitlement. Give with joy, but give wisely, because when generosity is met with entitlement, it loses its meaning. Build a life outside of them. The most powerful way to earn back respect is this: live your own life. Too many parents center their world around their children, but if your life begins and ends with them, they start seeing you as someone who has nothing else. Eleanor lost her husband and filled that space with her kids' lives. She called constantly, checked in too often. They pulled away. So she made a shift. She joined a book club, started traveling, volunteered at a food pantry. And guess what? Her children started calling more, not out of guilt, but curiosity. They wanted to hear about her life, because people, especially family, respect those who have purpose, passion, and pride in their own journey. Respect can't be demanded, but it can be earned by the way you carry yourself, by the boundaries you set, and by the life you choose to live. So if your children have started treating you with less kindness, less care, less respect, don't fight. Shift. Stop chasing approval. Lead by example. Stand strong emotionally. Set and enforce your boundaries. Protect your generosity. And build a life that is full and meaningful with or without their attention. Because when you honor yourself, the world, including your children, will rise to honor you too.